fun එක next level කරන dialogue fan blaster.
Tonight, on First at 9 this Monday the 6th of January 2025. Digital bureaucracy. Foreign Minister pledges to establish an electronic system for expatriate Sri Lankans to renew passports from abroad. Birth, death and marriage certificates now available electronically via Sri Lankan missions abroad. A law for unity. Archbishop of Colombo urges a new constitution that upholds democracy and addresses the current constitution's flaws. Also calls for a proper mechanism to probe all acts of corruption undermining democracy, including the Easter Sunday terror attacks. Executive promise. Government is committed to restoring public confidence in the administration of justice, assures the President. Says government will not undermine public expectations. Land troubles. Government to launch a special investigation into lands issued by the Land Reform Commission since 2015, says the Deputy Minister of Land and Irrigation. Land issuance halted until investigation is completed.
Chilo Dairy, Sri Lanka Kiren Perata. ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
කට පරිස්සම් කරගත්තොත් අපි පරිස්සම්.
Asian Paints Causeway Aquasafe වැස්සත් මට්ටුයි ගෙදරත් තිස්නේ.
From Derana, this is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9 on Sri Lanka's premium news provider Derana 24. I'm Tarindu Mahendra joining you live with the latest developments of the day. In your top story this evening, Minister of Foreign Affairs Vijitha Herath says government will establish an electronic system for expatriate Sri Lankans to renew their passports as well as apply for new passports from abroad. The Foreign Minister made this claim today while speaking at the launch of the pilot project for issuing birth, death and marriage certificates to expatriate Sri Lankans electronically via Sri Lankan missions abroad. Addressing the same event, Secretary to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Aruni Rana Raja claimed that the Foreign Ministry's database will be integrated with those of other government institutions, streamlining the process of authenticating documents and eliminating the authentication of falsified documents. The pilot project for issuing certified copies of birth, death and marriage certificates to expatriate Sri Lankans electronically via Sri Lankan missions abroad was launched today at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs under the patronage of Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Employment and Tourism Vijitha Herath.
විදේශගත අපේ රටේ පුරවැසියන් තම උපත් මරණ
Expatriate Sri Lankans require certified copies of birth, death and marriage certificates. Until now, this was done by a relative of the expatriate Sri Lankan or another person requesting a copy of the relevant certificate from the Registrar General's Department. Through this new service that will be launched today, Sri Lankans can obtain certified copies of birth, death and marriage certificates directly and instantly via the Sri Lankan mission in the country they are residing in. The pilot project of this program will be launched today at the Sri Lankan embassies in Japan, Qatar and Kuwait and the consular offices in Milan, Toronto and Melbourne. The Foreign Ministry has already taken steps to initiate this program at all other Sri Lankan missions. Additionally, in line with the priority of digitizing consular services, the electronic document authentication system of the Consular Services Division has already been successfully integrated with the Department of Examinations, and the Registrar General's Department, and document authentication is being done online. Moreover, plans are in place to integrate this database with those of other government institutions to which the Foreign Ministry issues documents, and several rounds of preliminary discussions have been successfully completed in this regard with state universities, the Sri Lanka Police, the Government Medical Officers Association and the British Council. By integrating these databases, we firmly believe it will be possible to obtain authenticated certificates online and completely eliminate the authentication of falsified certificates.
සත්‍යාපනය කිරීම සම්පූර්ණයෙන් වළක්වා ගත හැකි බවද තරයේ විශ්වාස කරනවා.
විදේශ රටවල ජීවත් වන
Today we are launching the program enabling Sri Lankans in 7 countries to obtain birth, death and marriage certificates electronically. We hope to initiate this program in all 65 countries to which the Registrar General's Department currently provides services as soon as possible. Last week we integrated our database with the Department of Pensions. Previously it took about a month for the Pensions Department to be notified of the death of a pensioner, and it was extremely difficult to recover any pension payments that would have been made in the meantime. This was costing the country 42 million rupees every month. Those funds are now being saved after we integrated the two databases on the 31st of December.
මේ ජනාධිපතිතුමාගේ ඩිජිටල් කරණය කිරීමේ සංකල්පය මත පදනම් වෙච්ච පළමුවැනි සාර්ථකව පටන් ගත්ත වැඩසටහන.
This is the first program to be successfully initiated in line with the President's concept of digitizing Sri Lanka. We are grateful to the officials of the Registrar General's Department for their contribution to this endeavour. They had the capacity to do this before, but as they are well aware, there was no proper leadership. Therefore, we are happy and proud to have provided leadership and guidance to this initiative, which will benefit hundreds of thousands of people. This is a strength to the economy as well as a service to the nation. Expatriate Sri Lankans in any country can obtain birth, death and marriage certificates for about $22. However, passports still pose an issue. The passport issue arose as a result of a previous incorrect policy decision. It has been 5 or 6 months since some expatriate Sri Lankans applied to renew their passports. We have decided to call tenders to print new passports. We intend to swiftly obtain a new stock of passports and help you renew your passports as well as obtain new passports without coming to Sri Lanka using similar technologies as we used to enable you to obtain birth, death and marriage certificates.
පිරිපුන් ජීවිතයකට ඔබ සමගින් පෙරට Union Assurance.
Welcome to Cinnamon Life, South Asia's biggest entertainment hub, where awe awaits.
චන්දුරුසුනේ කාගෙන් මනාපේ සිංහ TV සඳහා සුපිරි ඩීල්.
Sadaharita Plantations Limited, celebrating 22 years of your trust.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
President Anura Disanayake emphasises that it is the responsibility of the Attorney General's Department to ensure public confidence in Sri Lanka's judicial system. He made this statement during a discussion with the Attorney General and officers of the Attorney General's Department regarding controversial cases at the Presidential Secretariat today. The President highlighted the importance of all institutions working collaboratively to implement the law effectively, while emphasising the need to change public perceptions of political authority and strengthen trust in the judicial process. The head of state assured that government will not undermine public expectations and is committed to restoring confidence in the administration of justice and addressing the public's concerns about the system's credibility. He also said that government's commitment to fairness and equity remains unwavering. Meanwhile, Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit, emphasises the importance of a new constitution that upholds democracy and addresses the flaws of the current constitution. Speaking to media yesterday, the Archbishop of Colombo called for a proper mechanism to investigate all acts of corruption undermining democracy, including the Easter Sunday terror attacks. Speaker of Parliament Dr. Jagat Vikramaratne met with Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit last afternoon.
Everyone agrees that there must be a transformation within the country. During the meeting, we discussed several measures that are imperative for this shift. We request that the Speaker communicate the topics discussed to the President and other officials of the government. The incumbent government was given a special mandate by the public. Therefore, it is the responsibility of government to fulfill the task assigned by the public. It is very important to reveal the true information behind the Easter Sunday attack. A comprehensive investigation should be conducted into the Easter Sunday massacre. Many similar incidents occurred in the country in the past, including cases of murder, disappearances, and more, which have not been properly investigated. We request that the incumbent government establish an effective mechanism to investigate all acts of corruption undermining democracy, including the Easter Sunday massacre. The independence of the judiciary should be ensured. However, a constitutional change is required for such transformations to take place within the country. A new constitution that upholds democracy, transparency and unity and addresses the flaws of the current constitution is crucial. We believe that this government will amend the constitution as soon as possible. We cannot wait 5 more years. The foundation for this procedure should be laid now.
ජනතාවගේ දැඩි අවශ්‍යතාවයක් තියෙනවා මේ ක්‍රමවේදයන් වෙනස් කරලා නව ව්‍යවස්ථාවක් ගෙනේවි කියලා. ඒ සඳහා ඇත්තටම අපේ එක්තරා වගකීමක් තියෙනවා මේ කටයුත්ත කිරීම සඳහා. ඒ සඳහා අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම අප කැපෙනවා.
Deputy Minister of Land and Irrigation Dr. Susil Ranasinghe has stated that steps have been taken to launch a special investigation into lands allocated for various purposes through the Land Reform Commission since 2015. The Deputy Minister noted that lands have been allocated to industries and agriculture through the Commission, but added that there have been numerous issues with land distribution and transfers. He further stated that the issuance of lands through the Commission has been halted until the investigations are completed.
ඉඩම් සම්බන්ධයෙන් ගත්තහම පෙරට කර්මාන්තවලට මහා පරිමාණ කෘෂි කර්මාන්තයට
When discussing land matters, the Land Reforms Commission is responsible for issuing lands for industrial and agricultural purposes. However, there have been numerous issues regarding land transfers that were carried out in the past. In response, the Cabinet recently decided to investigate the lands issued by the LRC since 2015 to determine the purpose of these allocations and identify any instances of corruption or malpractice. We plan to complete this investigation within about a month and a half to understand why these lands were issued and whether any irregularities occurred. Additionally, we are currently identifying available lands under the Mahaweli Authority that can be allocated for investment in industrial and agricultural sectors. Our focus is on determining how these lands can be allocated efficiently and to whom they should be disbursed. Through this initiative, we aim to encourage more investment in the agricultural sector. It has come to the light that some lands under the Mahaweli Authority were allocated to associates of politicians. The Mahaweli Authority is now conducting an internal investigation into these allocations. In the upcoming budget, we plan to allocate a higher amount of funds for the irrigation sector. However, despite previous allocations, there are concerns about whether the funds were utilized efficiently and whether the completed projects provided meaningful benefits. We are in discussions with relevant authorities to ensure the quality of future construction projects and to guarantee that these projects deliver value to farmers and the agricultural sector.
Fast track your career from O levels with eSoft.
Diabetol සීනි වලින් පරිස්සම් වන ඔබට අමතක නොවන පෝෂණය.
Prime Group ලංකාවේ ප්‍රථම වතාවට හඳුන්වා දෙන land leasing ලේසියෙන් මීටමක්.
Single 1111 up to 60% off from the 11th November to the 17th of November.
Kalani wire කිසිගින්නක් නැහැ.
කිසිගින්නක් නැහැ. Kalani Fire Shield Wire.
Apico Mattress. Sama samay sapata nidiyan Apico Springs are 4 mattress madili rasakin.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
Several new appointments were made today to the Official Languages Commission and the 1990 Suasaria Foundation. The appointment letters were handed over by Secretary to the President Dr. Nandika Sanatkumar Nayaka at the Presidential Secretariat. President Anura Dissanayake has appointed Nimal R. Ranawaka as the new chairman of the Official Languages Commission. Additionally, Professor R.M.W. Rajpaksha, Professor Joseph Yogaraja and Larina Abdul Haq have been appointed as members of the commission. The appointment letters were presented today at the Presidential Secretariat by the Secretary to the President Dr. Nandika Sanatkumar Nayaka. Meanwhile, similar appointments were also made to the 1990 Suasaria Foundation. Accordingly, A.M.N. Ratnayaka, who was appointed as the new chairman of the 1990 Suasaria Foundation, received his appointment letter from Secretary to the President Dr. Nandika Sanatkumar Nayaka at the Presidential Secretariat. Additionally, R.J. M.A.P. Sampath and Nalin Pereira were appointed as board members. The World Health Organization has recognized Sri Lanka's focus on expanding community-based networks and deinstitutionalization as a significant step forward in improving mental health services. In its 2024 annual report, the WHO highlighted Sri Lanka's commitment to transitioning from long-term institutionalization to community-based services, which aims to provide individuals with more autonomy and support within their local communities. The organization advocates for the reorganization of mental health services, moving away from institutional settings towards community-based care. The WHO urges member states in the Southeast Asian region to develop multi-sectoral policies that address mental health risks and ensure that mental health services are accessible without financial hardship. Sri Lanka's implementation of mental health surveys was also acknowledged for its role in informing public decisions and resource allocation. High Commissioner of India to Sri Lanka, Santosh Jha, expressed that India has pledged to offer unconditional support for the development of sports in Sri Lanka. This was conveyed by the Indian High Commissioner during a meeting with Sri Lanka's Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports, Sunil Kumar Gamage, earlier today. The Indian High Commissioner emphasized that India would provide aid for sports development programs across Sri Lanka, focusing on a range of sports including cricket. Additionally, he also expressed hopes of strengthening bilateral relations in the field of youth affairs. Posting on X, the Indian High Commissioner stated that the discussion focused on the shared potential of a young demography and potential areas of deepening cooperation between the two countries in youth affairs and sports. Meanwhile, Parliament issued a clarification regarding the newspaper article published on the expenses of the tea reception held after the inaugural session of the 10th Parliament. The article indicated that under the parliamentary budget head, a sum of 287,340 rupees was incurred for the tea party held following the ceremonial opening of Parliament during the inaugural session of the 9th Parliament on the 20th of August 2020, while 339,628 rupees and 55 cents were spent on the tea party following the inaugural session of the 10th Parliament on the 21st of November 2024. In a statement, the Parliament said the discrepancy between the expenses of the tea parties occurred due to fluctuations of the market prices between 2020 and 2024 with inflation and economic downturns. And with that, here's a look at the latest political developments of the day.
There have been false claims that I gave verbal permission to spend an additional 3 billion rupees when purchasing buses for the SLTB in 2025. I request that a CID investigation be carried out regarding these false claims.
We are currently in the stabilizing phase. However, we ask the public to be patient, as it is not feasible to revive a country that has been in decline for 76 years within a month or even a year. The same applies to our treasury. We were bankrupt and had no funds. Now our foreign reserves have exceeded $6 billion. While we do not claim all the credit, we have stopped wasting funds.
For the past 100 days, government has simply continued the plans of former President Ranil Wickremesinghe. Apart from that, nothing new has been done for the future of the country. It is the public more than us who wanted this government. They gave us a supermajority. The public expects us to clean up and modernize everything. The mandate given to us is to clean, and that is what we are doing. We will not stop despite media criticism. Those who criticized for 70 years cannot bear criticism themselves. I do not believe the media is at fault. The media did what was right back then and continues to
do so today.
You cannot run a government by suppressing everything. We condemn the government's action in suppressing the media, which used to advocate for freedom of the press.
The National Transport Commission announced that measures are underway to compile a list of rights of passengers to ensure the safety of passengers travelling on buses. It is reported that the list of passengers' rights will be compiled by incorporating all the conditions of the operating licenses issued by the NTC for buses, as well as the conditions included in the bus operating licenses issued by provincial councils. In a statement, Chairman of the NTC, Dr. Bandura Dilipa Vitarana, stated that a final decision would be made following discussions with bus associations and passenger organisations regarding these matters. Meanwhile, Dr. Vitarana also noted that necessary measures are being taken to ensure the job security of private bus drivers and conductors. And with that, here's a look at local news across the island in brief. Tisarai Roshana Nanayakkara, the brother of former Minister of Foreign Employment Manusha Nanayakkara, was ordered to be remanded further until the 17th of January by the Gampaha Magistrates Court today. On the 28th of December last year, the suspect was arrested by the Criminal Investigation Department in connection with a complaint related to alleged financial fraud. Police said the arrestee is alleged to have defrauded nearly 3 million rupees from individuals after promising employment opportunities in Finland. Meanwhile, the Colombo Magistrates Court ordered the two individuals, including former Western Provincial Councillor Sulochana Gamage, who were arrested while accepting a bribe, to be further remanded in custody until the 17th of January. Officers of the Bribery Commission arrested the former Western Provincial Councillor and a businessman on the 28th of December last year while accepting a bribe of 9 million rupees from another businessman in Pitakorte. The duo had allegedly solicited the bribe on the promise of expediting compensation for a plot of land on Torrington Avenue, which was acquired by the Urban Development Authority. In other local news, Sri Lanka Navy's operations last year have brought to justice 407 persons, both local and foreign, involved in a wide array of illegal acts such as smuggling of narcotics, prescription drugs and contraband, as well as apprehending those involved in human smuggling. Issuing a statement, Sri Lanka Navy stated that these operations were conducted in close coordination with law enforcement agencies and maritime partners in the region. The Navy stated that gross street value of narcotics and prescription drugs seized in these operations has been valued at over 28 billion rupees. Welcome back. The 31st edition of the Facets Sri Lanka Gem and Jewellery Exhibition concluded today after 3 consecutive days in Colombo. The final day of the exhibition saw the participation of opposition leader Sajith Premadasa and leader of Sarvajana Balaya MP Dilith Jayavira. The 31st edition of Facets Sri Lanka, South Asia's Gem and Jewellery Exhibition, organised by the Sri Lanka Gem and Jewellery Association in collaboration with the National Gem and Jewellery Authority and the Export Development Board, was inaugurated on the 4th of January in Colombo under the patronage of President Anura Dissanayake. The 3-day exhibition featured a variety of activities alongside the showcase of local and international gems and jewellery. Highlights included VIP tours of Colombo Port City, cultural heritage experiences and a gem mining tour for professionals to explore Sri Lanka's rich gem mining industry in depth. During the final day of the exhibition, leader of the opposition Sajith Premadasa participated in the event. Sarvajana Balaya leader MP Dilith Jayavira was also present, engaging with vendors and exploring the exhibition's offerings.
This is our 3rd day at Facets and it has been a very successful event with global attendees, exhibitors from Palmadulla to Galle to Beruwala to Ratnapura. It has been a very successful show and we thank everyone for excitingly participating in this event.
The Colombo bourse closed in negative territory today as a result of price losses in counters such as Sampath Bank, Commercial Bank and Selinco Holdings. The all-share price index closed 1.06% lower at 15,878.60 points, while the S&P SL20 fell by 1.14% to close at 4,804.94 points. Market turnover crossed 8.5 billion rupees. The banking sector was the top contributor to market turnover, followed by the capital goods sector. Foreign participation in market activity remained at subdued levels, with foreigners closing as net buyers purchasing shares worth 496 million rupees. Senior analyst of Capital Alliance, Sahajit Nazar, joins us now with a few thoughts to round off our Markets in View segment for the week.
Last week, the domestic equity market experienced a significant rise. The ASPI increased notably by 3.31% from 15,535 to 16,049, while the S&P SL20 also increased by 4.2% to close at 4,860.33, while the market turnover increased by 14% to 42.3 billion rupees from 30.7 billion rupees. The Treasury bill auction for rupees 405.7 billion saw only 168 billion acceptance, with the 3-month and 6-month bill yield both decreased by 7 basis points and 5 basis points to 8.55% and 8.72% respectively, while the 12-month bill yield decreased to 8.94% by 2 basis points.
Following the outbreak of human metapneumovirus in China, India has detected its first 3 suspected cases of the virus. The Indian Council of Medical Research said 2 of the cases were reported from Karnataka, while the other was from Gujarat. Notably, all 3 patients were infants. They are reported to have no history of international travel and are currently recovering. Indian health experts and organizations have emphasized that there is no need to panic over HMPV, as it is not a new pathogen and results in regular flu-like symptoms. While there is no vaccine for it, experts say regular flu shots and even the 3 doses of COVID vaccines grant immunity against HMPV. And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of First at 9. Thank you for joining and have a good night.
For news and information you can trust 24 hours a day, visit adaderana.lk.